thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, you know, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, you know, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, you know, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so,
what I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
you know, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, you know, they spread this thing out, and this has got a huge winglet. It's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so,
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. You a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight, we're taking a look at a Friar. I believe he's a Friar. He is from Breaking the Habit. I can't remember what his name is, but he's from Breaking the Habit, and he is going to be telling us why we should not have open minds, or rather our minds shouldn't be open to other possibilities as far as like questions that we have, either about science, about religion, about spiritualness. Like at some point we need to be closed-minded, and you won't guess it, but apparently open-mindedness is destroying our societies. Somebody's saying the volume is a little low. I thought that I fixed that. I thought that I could hear it just fine. Hold on. Let's see. Let me just check out the sound on the stream. I'm getting into the yellow area. Check out the sound on the stream. I'm getting into the yellow area. Check out the sound. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds perfectly fine to me. I don't know if maybe I'm usually hard of hearing. But in any case, tonight we're taking a look at a guy I lovingly call Friar Tuck. And Friar Tuck is going to be telling us why we should all be closed-minded, at least to an extent. So, if you want to fuck around and find out why Friar Tuck thinks that we should close our minds off, then please stay tuned. All right, heathens. I don't know. All of my levels are perfectly fine as far as my sound goes. Maybe it's a little low whenever I start not yelling, but I've tried to make sure that it's, you know, in the yellow but not peaking too bad. I guess you'll have to let me know if it's still echo, yeah. I don't know, let me know if it's still way too low for you guys to hear. I'll try to jack it up a little bit. But in any case, tonight we're taking a look at Friar Tuck. We do have some news to cover. We also have some comments to go over. And we don't have Bro Cephas tonight. He's already passed out in his room with his blanket. I wasn't able to find anything to bother him with. So we're just going to be having those things and then the actual video. Although the news segment does have an extra video in it. And then, of course, afterwards, we're going to hear from the Skeptic Mafia. And if you would like a hand in trying to pick the video that we do on Friday nights, then you can join the Skeptic Mafia at the Mafioso level. They get a poll every Wednesday, and they get to pick between 3 different topics, and that's what we get to cover. But this week was a little bit of a, oops, all Friar Tuck, because every single video was a Friar Tuck video, and so I just wanted to do Friar Tuck this week. Like, it's a pretty good content, like, not mill, but he's a pretty good place to find a bunch of good content like that. So, they had to pick between all the Friar Tuck videos, and they picked the one that was about open-mindedness tonight, or at least the last time I checked the poll. It could have changed, who knows. But in any case, that's what we're going to be going over tonight. And if you want to help support the channel here, you can do a super chat, or like I said, join the Skeptic Mafia. I do have a Skeptic Mafia podcast that's up. I will be releasing sort of a preview of it here on the channel next week. So if you want to get the full Skeptic Mafia podcast, which is like an hour and a half long, but we talk about a whole bunch of current events that are going on. And if you want to get access to the entire thing, then I highly suggest you becoming a Skeptic Mafia member. So, with no further ado, let's hurry up and let's get to the news, shall we? Well, we got a member chat, first off, from Zoomy Tomato saying you wanted to do Jedi HR Manager Friar Tuck. Do we not do phrasing anymore? The innuendo is definitely there. Thank you so much there, Zoomy. Idiocracy is a prophecy over there on the vertical stream right now. It says that the sound's fine, so I appreciate you checking in on that. Anyways, let's hurry up and let's get to the Today I Learned, which I've got to get out my banjolele. Perfectly out of tune. Let's do it. Today I heard some really dystopian new shit. Today I learned about some pretty shitty shit. It's an official song. I'm just telling you right now. All right. So, welcome, heathens. So first up, hold on, I got to get my notes over here. The first thing is the video, but I got a little bit of an introduction before we actually play the video. Anyways, fuck, I'm so out of practice for this. Y'all just don't even know. Right-wing activist Mark Meckler, seen here with several oranges shoved up his ass, calls for New York City in general to be walled off and tossed out of the United States. But I kind of think that he's confused a Kurt Russell cult classic Escape from New York with real life. I'll let him explain as to why he thinks that New York should be totally sealed off from the rest of the United States and effectively made its own country. Sorry, I gotta switch everything up here for the video section. All right, apparently did not size this appropriately. All right, there we go. All right, Mark, what do you got for us? Why should New York City be walled off from the rest of the United States? I'm guessing it has something to do with 34 felonies.
We had to build a wall around New York City. We had to close off the bridges, and we ought to separate them from the United States of America. They're on the coast. They could trade with other countries as they see fit. They can enter into trade discussions with the United States of America if they want. And the reason I say this, and I'm only semi-facetious, is because there is no rule of law in New York City anymore. There is no due process in New York City anymore. There is no United States Constitution in New York City anymore. It operates as if it doesn't believe in the rule of law, it doesn't believe in the United States Constitution. So let's just cut them out.
In our world today, there
No, Friar Tuck, this is not your turn. So sorry. All right, so that was Mark Meckler. Basically, it is because of the 34 felony convictions that was handed down to Trump. And of course, conservatives right now are claiming that apparently if you hold Trump accountable for his felonious actions, then apparently that means you just don't care about the rule of law. You're apparently shitting on the Constitution. And you're just not adhering to anything that we do in like the legal system. By applying the legal system appropriately, we have effectively just tossed out the legal system, apparently, or New York City has at least. So obviously this is a really bad idea. Not just because this isn't a 1980s sci-fi movie, but also cutting off New York City from the U.S. would be bad for both New York City and the United States. Supply chains would be disrupted even more than they were during COVID. There would be significant job losses in the areas outside of New York City, as well as inside New York City, and from people that work in New York City but live outside of New York City. Those choosing to reside in New York City would face a loss of access to services. They would be displaced, and there's a whole host of other issues. This guy doesn't give a fuck about that, though. He just cares about, exacting political revenge or revenge on his political enemies, which seems to be something that is running amok right now in the right-wing circles. They don't want to be persecuted for their political beliefs, but they're more than willing to persecute others for their political positions. Not that the Trump trial that recently concluded had anything to do with politics. They perceive it to be part of politics. They live in a different reality than the one that actually exists. But basically, if you want to cripple a major population center and the U.S. in general, then you would enact this bullshit he is proposing right here, which, mind you, he's not thought it all the way out. He just thinks, they convicted my orange savior, and so now we gotta toss him out. And that's pretty much the extent of his thought process on this. Otherwise, Mark, I think that you need to leave this bullshit back in the 80s with Snake Plissken. Dipshit. Anyways, that's going to be it for this asshole. Next up is this guy, a smarmy looking fuck that he is. This is Texas Education Agency Commissioner Mike Morath. He's seen here watching children be murdered because their parents were non-believers. He released, or well, rather his organization, the Texas Education Agency, released a proposed elementary school curriculum set that heavily relies on the Bible to teach children. Of course, he lied to the public when he claimed that the religious content was only a small piece of the curriculum. One lesson in this teaches about Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper alongside the Gospel of Matthew, heavily emphasizing the, basically the Christian message or the Christian story and how we're all like fallen to sin. What up there, Fuster Cluck? How you doing? Becoming a Skeptic Mafia member, Fuster Cluck. I like that. Sorry, I lost my place. So here's what my questions are as far as this school curriculum goes. Where does all the genocide that God orders go in this curriculum? Does that go in social studies class? Maybe there's an ethics class that teaches you how it's okay to kill your neighbors as long as you hallucinate God telling you to do it. Also, I wonder how teachers are going to respond to female students when they ask where any consideration for consent is in the Bible, or if they should just consider themselves to be chattel now, properties of men in some kind of way. If they're elementary school kids, they're going to be properties of their father. If they're older than that, they're going to be properties of whoever they're married off when they're 12. You you're a property of men? A man? I mean, I don't see it that way, but I guess they would. Sorry, lost my place again. Seems like inserting this bullshit into the classroom will only cause more problems, but this fuckhead doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the well-being of children. No, he only cares about forcing everyone to join his religion, even to the point of incentivizing people indoctrinating public school kids. And this is how, because the schools in Texas will be given a $60 per child incentive for teaching this curriculum if it is indeed adopted in November. So if you live in Texas, I hope that you're ready to be taught about religion, or your kids rather. I hope you're ready for your kids to be taught about religion and basically be forced to participate in a religion while they're at public school. Just saying, maybe this is a bad idea. But like I said again, this guy back here doesn't give a fuck about your children's education, about your children's welfare, about their health. He doesn't give a shit about any of it. He only cares about pushing a Christian narrative, and he's part of this far-right front that is trying to force religion into public schools. So if you live in Texas, I hope you're speaking out about this. How it's a bad idea. There's already a lot of people doing it, but I feel like, more voices can only help. And then finally, tonight, yes, this is Stu Peters leading a whole host of fat assholes. This is far-right influencer Stu Peters, seen here trying to imagine where the clitoris might be. He has announced that he has joined a, quote, national constitutional militia. It's called the, quote, North American Patriot and Liberty Militia, or NAPALM. Yeah, napalm, honey. It's definitely some napalmy shit, right? It is totally ridiculous. It is basically a bunch of assholes who could actually join the real army, or maybe they did join the real army, but then they got out of the army and they're like, oh shit, we can't kill people no more. And so they decided to invent their own army. Either way that it happens. But they joined this militia so that they could kill people. And because of that, they rented out a small office space and decided to just build their own army. They claim to be ready to defend this republic from any enemy, foreign or domestic, which really just makes them seem like they were copying and pasting like what the actual military is supposed to do. But the actual military is like, you can't be a redneck and be in the army. Well, no, you can't say that. There's definitely rednecks in the army. You definitely can't be however in the fuck you are and be in the army. Okay. For one thing, you got to run. And we all know y'all's asses don't run that much. Of course, this is me saying it, which I get told that a lot, but I can run for like an hour straight and not really be all that tired. But I've built up that. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Like, basically, they were rejected by the army. But anyways, so it makes them sound like a copycat, just military, their own private military, whatever. It's a militia, which all of this roughly translates into, we gonna kill liberals. Or maybe liberals. But good luck trying to organize a bunch of dumbasses to fight your dipshit war against reasonable political positions, which is really what they're trying to do. They claim to have at least 20,000 members nationwide, which is, if true, could be a big problem come November. By big problem, I mean that there's going to be a whole lot of out-of-shape assholes with with bulletproof vests on, shooting themselves in various appendages. Probably the dick. Because they're going to put it in the front of their pockets and shoot their dick head off, right? Because they don't know how to properly use a fucking gun. And we've seen this in videos all over. Have y'all seen that one guy who's like surrounded by a bunch of mannequins and he like takes out his gun and he's like... and just shooting everywhere, and then he like stabs with his like butter knife. Anyways, I'm just saying they don't know how to fucking use a gun. But if you see anyone associating with napalm, first off, back away slowly. Get yourself out of harm's reach. And if you could just get away from them in general, that would be a good idea. And then you might want to notify someone, although I'm not exactly sure who that someone might be, because these dipshits are probably in almost every level of law enforcement. So, you know, just act accordingly, I guess. But anyways, that's going to be the news for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I didn't. Well, I enjoyed giving it. I don't enjoy reporting on it. Not that my shit's any kind of close to news reporting. But in any case, y'all ready for some comments? I know I'm ready for comments. Yeah, honey, you love comments? Comments of the day! Prepare to facepalm yourself into next week! Beautiful and perfect. Yeah, you think it was beautiful? Well, first up is Candace Owens. You're like, why'd you do this to us, GE? Candace Owens says, the older I get, the more absurd the concept of, quote, dinosaurs roam the earth until a great big meteor hit becomes to me. And then, like that. So obviously there's a lot of ideas as to what could have killed off the dinosaurs, and what killed off the dinosaurs, the majority of the dinosaurs, was probably more complicated and multifaceted than a lot of people want to make it out to be, because it's not like meteor struck and it's like the meteor strike in and of itself is what killed them. Like, there's a lot of effects afterwards that's caused by a large meteor strike, and then there's also many other things. But still, the best hypothesis is that a large meteor struck the earth and eventually it caused all of the dinosaurs to be wiped out. So, not all, sorry, most of. There are still some dinosaurs around today that were able to survive. What we would consider dinosaurs, birds and shit. But anyways, so yeah, Candace Owens is starting to doubt that the dinosaurs went extinct because of an extinction level event. Like, extinction level events have happened multiple times in Earth's history. These extinction level events generally wipe out a good portion of life on Earth, and we're actually overdue for an extinction level event. I feel like maybe that extinction level event might be the idiocy, the idiocy of a certain orange asshole. I mean, I don't know how he could cause the world to end, but I'm sure that if there's a fucking way, he could find it. I mean, I feel like whenever I think about that asshole, I think about my mom telling me, I could give you a steel ball and you'd figure out how to break it. And like, I feel like Donald Trump is that kid that actually can figure out a way to break a steel ball. I mean, oh, if you're wondering, if you can't tell by the top, I'm drinking more Kona Light because that's the beer that I'm hyper focused on right now. All right. So, Candace, there's a lot of evidence out there that establishes a large meteor hitting the Earth, and more so an extinction level event that caused the dinosaurs to go extinct. I'm not exactly sure what she's starting to think now, but anyways, you know, I wonder if did I get punked again? Like, is this not a real tweet? I really should have looked it up. I saw it, but maybe real Candace. Oh, yeah. Was it? I mean, it's definitely her picture. She's got the blue check mark, but I mean, everybody's got a fucking blue check mark now. Yeah, buying the blue check mark. Oh, yes, I found it right here, June 5th. Yep, that's it. She actually said it. I'm glad I wasn't taken for a ride again. Woo! Sunian said again. Yes, there was, what was it? Last week, I got suckered by a political account. And you know, the politics right now is so fucking crazy that I really can't tell a Poe from otherwise. So I really don't know. Anyways, oh, I know I was here. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So that's going to be it for Candace Owens. Fucking dipshit. Anyways, this person is asking, just checking in, has any atheist shown that consciousness is measurable and physical and thus stops at death? Well, just thinking through this question, I don't see any reason to think that consciousness exists past death. What we know of as consciousness is an emergent property of a complex central nervous system. The way that our nervous system interacts with itself and operates in general ends up producing what we experience as consciousness. So considering that our brains are biomechanical machines, and not machines in the sense that they had to be designed, don't get your fucking dicks hard out there, creationists, but they are biomechanical machines that require electricity. If you stop the flow of electricity in our brains, does our consciousness still exist, considering that it's the interactions of our brain with itself and with our environment that produces our consciousness? Like, I feel like you would need to provide a reason to think that consciousness continues after death rather than us having to prove that it definitely stops. Because if you asked me, I would probably be like, I don't know. Most likely not. It does not continue after death. But if you provide me with evidence that it definitely does continue after death, then I'm willing to investigate further into that possibility. But the problem is that they would cite like NDEs. NDEs are not good pieces of evidence. We can't actually tell when these NDEs happen. Like, you would need to be able to discern whether they happened actually during death, like while the brain is dead currently, whatever the brain death criteria is. You would have to show that it happened during that time, which seems to be pretty impossible. And you would also have to rule out the possibility of it occurring just prior and just after, just prior to death and just after death. So there's a lot of problems with NDEs and all this other kind of shit. So I feel like, maybe you need to think about what evidence suggests that there is consciousness after our life, or that rather our consciousness extends past our life. You would just need to figure that shit out first. I've thought of another thing, miracles or something like, ghosts or whatever, miracles and ghosts and all that. You would still need to provide evidence that it is actually a ghost and not just some other natural phenomena that either we don't know or you can't discern in that moment. So, I mean, there's just a lot of problems with the evidence that does exist. I'm not ruling out ghosties existing, but I can guarantee you that if in 100 years or fuck it, 20 years, if 20 years from now, Zach Vagabonds is still going through rundown ass houses and, there's not a ghost in there like, there was a kid, he appeared, he was doing the stanky leg, and then he just vanished. Like, if that doesn't start happening soon, I feel like the gig is up. Like, I feel like you really need to figure out some kind of new supernatural idea here, because at some point they're gonna start doing like shit from the 80s, like it as ghosts. Like, they're gonna start saying, like, one of those spirit boxes where it like rotates all these frequencies, it comes over and it's like Escape from New York was a really good movie. Love that Snake Plissken fuck. Some fuckhead on the other side is going to do some shit like that, right? Like, they're just going to do it. Anyways, yes, so I watched Zach Vagabonds for the comedy. Let's continue, shall we? After my rant on the supernatural. Michael Winga! So Twitter's doing this amazing thing where if somebody that I follow comments or tweets or something like that in response to Mike Winger, I can see his tweet. So he still can't interact with me and I can't interact with him because I'm blocked, but I can at least see his tweets now. So there you go. Mike Winger says, supporting people's ideology is not the same as loving them. Everyone knows this when it comes to Nazis, but forgets it when it comes to the LGBTQ. This is in that category of common sense that we usually try really hard to teach preteens. So, my fucking Mike Winger. Supporting people's ideology is not the same as loving them. Everyone knows this when it comes to Nazis, but forgets about it when it comes to LGBTQ. So, I believe what he's saying here is that you can love an LGBTQ person without supporting them. And I feel like that's bullshit. Okay, it's totally bullshit. All right? Primarily because if you're withholding your support from somebody, then you're obviously not loving them. Like, and I don't mean support in that like, oh, well, I don't support his, opioid habit, therefore I must not love him. That's not what I'm talking about. That would be what's called a false analogy fallacy, because you can't compare the LGBTQ community to like an opioid addiction, right? Idiots will try to do that. There's nothing wrong with being part of the LGBTQ community. And if anybody has watched me for any kind of significant period of time, you will know that I am fully support the LGBTQ community. Hell, my wife is part of the LGBTQ community. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with being in that community. And if you're going to withhold your support for that community, you cannot claim to still love them. I feel like this is just like a crazy thing to say here. Like, this is like you're deluding yourself into thinking, oh, I still love them even if I don't support them. And, in just their very basic being, like just their very existence, you're not going to support them existing, but I still love you. Like, what the fuck is that kind of emotional, toxically abusive shit? Oh, God damn it. I fucking hate Mike Winger. I am fucking upset about this shit. This is in that category of common sense that we usually try. Yeah, I mean, this entire tweet is just aggravating and I hate it. I'm gonna go on. Anyways, here's from one of my videos from a while ago. This guy says, so, you want to say you have enough brain matter to understand the pagan origins of holidays, but you don't have enough to realize that everything around you is created by God? Emphasis mine. If it's the truth that you're after, you only speak part of it. The rest is lies. So, no, I would need to see evidence that everything around me is created by God. That's just a baseless claim that is levied by apologists and then regurgitated by the apologists' audience. Idiots. So, I mean, you would need to prove that God is responsible for creating everything. And so far, I have not seen any kind of evidence that would suggest that God is responsible for anything being created. I don't see God, a need for God in any of the natural processes. All of the natural processes are the reasons why things that exist now do exist. And this is a typical one that I bring up, but you could substitute it with any natural process like the water cycle. We don't need God for the water cycle to happen. And I feel like most religious people now have figured out that you don't do rain dances in order to get rain. Like, you can't magically compel the weather to do the weather thing, right? That you want it to do. Like, no amount of naked dancing, child sacrifice, or I don't know, beaten off in the middle of a field is going to affect whether or not it rains. We understand, huh? Yeah, yes, I am sure beating off in a field won't do it. Don't ask me how I know. She said I won't. But I feel like you have to carry the burden of proof of proving that God is needed for all of that. The burden of proof is not on me to prove you wrong. You, the person in the comment, the person in the comment needs to prove that God is responsible for everything before I can analyze that evidence and either agree with it or show you how you're wrong. So, I mean, this person just has a very fucked up sense of the burden of proof, and that's it. And then finally, before we get to Friar Tuck, we've got this right here left on a recent video clip that I posted. This is worshippers of life. Worshipper of life. They worship life, apparently. They said, "Are you a non-believer by choice? Or is someone forcing you into atheism?" No, nobody is forcing me into atheism. I became convinced at one point that I didn't believe in a God and that there was no reason for me to believe in a God. Nobody is forcing me to do this. See, atheism works very differently than religion, which, if you don't know, I think that parents force their children into a religion. They don't give them an option. It's not like they ask the baby, "Do you want to be a Christian?" And the baby's like, "I'll take that as a yes, little man." Like, that's not what happens. They just are Christian because their parents decided it, forcing them into a religion. Okay? So it doesn't work like religious people work, or atheism doesn't work like religion works. Okay? We don't force people into atheism. I'm a dad, 14-year-old kid downstairs. I have never once forced any position on him. If he didn't believe in a God, you know, and he did when he was younger, he was like, "I'm an atheist." I'm like, "Well, I don't think that you really can grasp, that position yet. So let's just cool our jets on that." And I literally told him that. But I mean, at no point has he ever been like, "I want to know about God." Because, I haven't forced it on him. I've asked him on occasion, like, are you curious about all these people at school talking about God and everything? And he's like, "Nope." And he just goes back to killing people on Call of Duty. Like, that's it. Like, he doesn't really care about it. And, I mean, I feel like if you don't force a religion on your kids, then more than likely they're not going to become religious. And, although, I mean, there are obviously people out there that choose later on in life, but I still feel like there's that influence from other people that compel them to get involved in religion. But in any case, nobody's forcing me to do shit, okay? Nobody can. I'm just saying. Nobody can force me to do anything I don't want to. Anyways, that's going to be it for the comments tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. If you will, please go down below and let me know what you thought about any of the topics that we covered tonight, any of the comments that we covered tonight, any of the news stories that we covered. It would be awesome to see what you guys have down below. We are about to get to Friar Tuck. Keep in mind that Super Chats I'll be interacting with directly during the video, so if you feel like I've missed something or a better point could be made, please consider sending a Super Chat, and I will directly interact with it, and you can definitely have your 2 cents thrown in on this video response. So, without further ado, we get over here. We have, boom, Friar Tuck! What's up there, Friar Tuck? How you doing? Hi there, Friar Tuck. Anyways, all right. So we got Friar Tuck here. He's going to be explaining to us why open-mindedness is destroying our society. I would like to say I appreciate everybody that's watching over there on the vertical stream as well as on the normal stream. If you didn't know, we do a vertical stream at the same time as the normal stream. People like to watch in different ways, and I like to try to accommodate the best that I can. All right, so yeah, everybody seems to be behaving. Are you behaving over there on the Destinies? No? You killing my fuckers? Okay. All right, Friar Tuck, convince me that I should no longer be open-minded. I feel like as an atheist, like me being an atheist, Friar Tuck should definitely want me to still be open-minded. But obviously, it's a very one-way street for him. He doesn't think he needs to be open-minded. But obviously, I need to be open-minded completely. So let's see.
In our world today, there may not be a more important value than having an open mind, or a more hurtful insult than to be called closed-minded. We applaud people that are always asking questions, always seeking, always open to new things, and look down on those who are stuck in their ways, who refuse to change.
I mean, I don't look down on people. Like, that's a weird way to characterize it, because it's like, it's not as... it's not like he's providing any kind of nuance for this, because it's like, if you're convinced of a position, do I think that you should be closed off to other possibilities? No, I guess I don't. But for a lot of positions that I have, the likelihood of you overturning that in my lifetime is slim to none. Like, for instance, evolution definitely happened. Okay. He would probably classify me as, yes, honey, he would classify me as a dumbass, but he would probably classify me as being closed-minded about evolution and closed-minded about God creating everything and creating organisms and all that kind of stuff. I would not classify myself that way. I guess I am open to other possibilities being proven. But I feel like the requirement for evidence is gonna far exceed what he's expecting, because, you know, he just wants you to get to the thought-stopping conclusion, no, God did it, and just stop and not continue to have an open mind. I feel like that's where he's going. I haven't actually seen the entire video yet. I just know enough that I was wanting to respond to it. Market on says, you realize Friar Tuck is a progressive Catholic. Okay. I mean, I'm not criticizing like his politics or anything like that. I mean, he's a Catholic, and I feel like all Catholics that help support the Catholic Church are, you know, helping support pedophiles and other crimes that are being committed. I feel like if you're going to support the Catholic Church, whether you're progressive or not, I don't really care. You're helping support a criminal organization. That's how I see the Catholic Church. So if he's progressive Catholic, perfectly fine. I have a lot of Catholic family members. I don't have a problem with them necessarily, but if they're giving money to their church, then I will tell them straight-faced, directly to them, you're supporting a criminal organization that helps hide pedophiles. I mean, that's just it. And I feel like the Catholic Church has done little to nothing to actually turn around that reputation that they have.
Frankly, I think that it might be our most toxic quality, and it's destroying our society.
Being open-minded, the most toxic quality, and destroying society. Had to take a sip on that one.
Let me explain. On the surface, having a so-called open mind is not a bad thing. Removing our biases and preconceived notions, looking at the world as it is rather than how we want it to be, taking in new information and adjusting our opinions, these are all good things. What I love about the idea of an open mind is the desire to always be seeking and learning. Especially as a Christian, I know that 1,000 lifetimes could never exhaust all that there is to learn about the unimaginable mystery that is God and the beauty and wonder of his creation. To sit back, unimpressed, to be content with where we are, seems like a sin against the gift of reason that God has given us.
I don't know, but memory serves, like, y'all motherfuckers killed a whole bunch of people for asking questions about God and not just being closed-minded about, you know, previous things. I mean, religious people in the past, both Protestant and Catholic, have been very much against open-mindedness in general and not seeking alternative explanations and soaking in all of the, you know, all of the natural world. Of course, he declares it a sin against God to not use our reason in that way, when really in the past, for the majority of the Catholic criminal organization, as well as Protestants, it's actually been this whole open-mindedness and this seeking of new information and all that kind of shit has gotten a lot of people killed there, Friar Tuck. Like, why in the fuck would you even say that this is a sin against God when very obviously, if we just take a statistical look at the likelihood that that's true, it seems like it's not. Like, it seems like God wants to kill motherfuckers. They're going to question his ass. Like, once you get the answer, God did it. You're supposed to stop thinking. At least that's what they've done all throughout time. And I mean, obviously the Catholic Church as well as Protestant churches and all that have been drug along, kicking and screaming, even from within the church itself. Now, I'm not saying that individuals within the Catholic organization can't, seek out new information and incorporate that and like be able to explain shit with natural stuff. I mean, obviously there have been many scientists in the past that have been Catholic priests and have done scientific work in the Catholic Church. So I'm not saying that every single person is that way, but the Catholic organization and the Catholic criminal empire on the whole has resoundingly persecuted people for doing the exact thing that he is saying. I understand that he's progressive, right? Progressive Catholic, whatever in the fuck that might mean. But to sit there and act like there isn't this war against attaining new information and working new information that shows that, oh, God's not responsible for this. This other process is. Or maybe Friar Tuck could be explaining it like, well, that's just revealing how God is doing it. And that's just moving the goalposts. You're just moving the goalposts further and further back. Because at one time, lightning, all that kind of shit. God did it. That's God. God's throwing lightning bolts, probably shooting them out of his dick from up there on high. I mean, that's how people understood it. Then we understood how lightning actually operates and all this other stuff, which is a natural process. And it's like, oh, well, that's just how God does it. But God is still the one that does it and everything. And then we figure out how energy states changing is not something that needs any kind of magic to it. It's like, oh, but it still needs God in order for the energy states to change and all this other stuff. And for everything to happen, it still requires God. Further and further moving God back into the gaps of our knowledge and into the gaps of things that we understand. Market on says, why do you simp for a Catholic president? So sad. I don't see myself as simping for a Catholic president. Do I prefer Joe Biden over the orange turd? Obviously. I don't want a Cheeto in the office again. If a Cheeto gets into the office again, obviously we're going to be turned into an autocracy, given all of the things that Trump wants to accomplish. We're going to have our freedoms taken away. The American government is going to be turned inside out and going to change to the point where it's only far-right conservatives that are going to inhabit political positions, and those that disagree with grandiose Cheeto in head of state, they are going to get persecuted. So, I mean, these are things that have been directly said by a number of important political, like right-wing political figures, as well as Donald Trump his fucking self. So do I simp for the Catholic president? No, I don't. I'm choosing the less nuttier of two turds. That's what I'm doing. Choosing the less nuttier of two turds. I don't want all those nuts in the turd that sits in the president's house up there, right? Like, just saying, it's not simping. And also, it doesn't matter to me that he's Catholic. He's not, trying to force Catholicism on everybody. So I don't see why it should matter whether or not he's Catholic. I don't care about Trump's fucking religion, whatever in the hell that might be. He claims Christian, but I don't know about that. Oh yeah, Trump's religion is masturbating on his gold pot. That's what his religion is. Or at least that's what it feels like. Anyways, let's continue.
Seeking is a good thing. Wondering is a virtue. Welcoming new information is essential for all Christians. We must have an open mind to all that is true, beautiful, and good so that we ourselves may be transformed by all that is true, beautiful, and good. I don't have a problem with any of this. No, the problem I have with much of our world is not that it insists on an open mind per se. It's that it never allows for an open mind to reach a conclusion. Tell someone that you're a seeker, that you're someone who stares out over the ocean and wonders how it all came to be and where we're all going.
I mean, I'm not going to try to provide like a full and complete answer to this particular question, but I mean, we definitely have the information that explains how the seas formed. how the seas got salty. We can explain like every single facet of that. We can explain where most likely our country is going depending on what the outcomes of certain elections are. Like we can predict these things using science. We can know where we're going. Does he mean like where we're going like in our lives? Excuse me. Where we're going in our lives? Or does he mean like where we're going after we die? Because I feel like a lot of apologists, Catholic or not, heavily focus on death. Like they focus on what happens after you die. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm going to be dead. So why don't we focus on what's happening in my life like now and what will be happening in my life? That's why I care about climate change. That's why I care about a Cheeto not getting back into the presidency. Like those are the fact that I'm living right now and I want to live my best life. Like that's the reason why I care about this life. But apologists always seem to focus on death. But we could answer these questions. And it's not that our minds are closed at that point once we attain these natural explanations. It just means that the likelihood of a magical explanation superseding a natural explanation is very low. So unless you provide me with like a different natural explanation for the seas or any particular fact about the seas, my mind is going to be made up about how the seas formed. We can explain that. We can explain how mountains formed. But if you're going to come at me with, oh, magical man in the sky, the old ass wizard that eternally exists, but yet also infinite regresses can't exist, but my personal favorite infinite regress has always existed. He is the one that actually pissed out the oceans. Yep. He also maneuvered the ball of the earth, and he's the one that created all the land masses. And then he was drinking a lot of beer at the time, and so then he had to piss the oceans out. And so basically when you're swimming in the ocean, that's God's piss. That's why it's so salty. Like, how's my Josephus impression? Yeah, it's good. But my point is that just because you've been convinced of a position does not necessarily mean that you're 100% closed-minded to other possibilities. But that seems to be what Friar Tuck here is claiming, that these that skeptics of God and more, I guess, supernatural side to reality, our minds are closed off to it. Now, typically that doesn't come up in a conversation like, oh, so you're just totally closed off to the idea of God. Some atheists will tell you yes, but other atheists will, tell you no. I'm one of the atheists that will tell you no, I'm not closed off to it. I just think that the evidence required to supersede the natural explanations is far too great for a more magical notion to overcome. And until you can provide the evidence that would be needed, I am going to steadfastly hold to the natural explanations.
And people think that you're deep and interesting. Tell someone that you're a Christian, that you believe that the ocean and all of creation are the works of God, and that everything should fulfill its purpose in giving God glory. Well, you know the response. How can
What would be the response? If I heard that, I'd be like, okay, I really don't give a fuck, dude. Like, if he were to tell me that, I wouldn't think one way or another about him. I mean, I might be a little disappointed with a person because they've obviously bought into magical thinking. And it's not that I think that they're completely stupid or anything like that. But if you are partaking in magical thought processes, or you are convinced by magic of some kind, I don't necessarily dismiss you or anything like that, but I guess I'm less likely to accept any kind of explanation you could give me for anything that I want to know. Because I feel like what I would then get is some magical explanation. Like, damn it, why did this car wreck happen today of all days? Why? And then you come in with your bullshit like, well, God is punishing you for something. Or, well, God works in mysterious ways. At that point, I'm like, fucking shut up, Ricky. Okay? Shut the fuck up. That doesn't tell me anything. I was being rhetorical, you dipshit. I mean, at that point, I would probably be a bit caustic, right? But just simply telling me, oh, I definitely believe in a magical wizard that created everything, and it's a sin not to like please that God, you know, make sure you work the shaft, cradle the balls and everything. Like if somebody were to tell me that, I'd be like, oh, par for the course. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of people believe that. Great. Good for fucking you. Could you please change my oil now? I mean, not trying to shit on anybody who works at like any of those service places, but I mean, like I've changed my own oil before. So anyways.
You know this. What arrogance. Who are you to tell me that my ideas are wrong? As a society, we value minds that question, but belittle minds that claim to have answers to questions.
No, I don't think that we do belittle minds that claim to have answers. It just depends on what the answer is that you're giving. Like, I get it. If I go to a church and I ask somebody, like, how did that tree get there? They're going to tell me God put it there, or that God is the reason why the trees exist, or some kind of bullshit like that. Like, they are going to tell me that. So, I mean, I totally expect religious people to keep on religiousing, right? I'm not expecting a religious person to do anything other than that. I mean, I would hope that a religious person could explain the actual natural processes that go into plants developing and all this other stuff, like accepting evolution for the fact that it is. But I mean, if I go to like a Southern Baptist church, I'm not going to expect them to accept evolution. I'm going to expect them to think God created everything. But if I go to a more progressive church, maybe Casey, I think his name's Father Casey. Anyways, Friar Tuck here. If I go and ask him about evolution, I think that he probably would accept evolution. Hopefully, if he is progressive. But I'm not expecting somebody that's obviously not going to accept natural explanations to then accept natural explanations. Like, I'm not going to do that.
I think of it a lot like the cliche often attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's not the destination that matters, but the journey. At first, it seems wise. It reminds us that how we get somewhere matters, that we should care about the process, the ways, and the means. And that's true. We don't want to lie or cheat to get somewhere. We don't want to get to our destination having lost ourselves along the way. For what good would the destination be at that point? But the opposite.
What up there? I saw somebody named Jeremy subscribed, so, you know, they probably subscribed to talk some shit. Anyways, so I can agree with him on this, but at the same time, like this hasn't always been the position of the Catholic Church, let alone the full breadth of the Christian denomination. So, I mean, maybe this is a symptom of being a progressive Catholic in this kind of sense. I do feel like he's doing a bit of a disservice by acting like, oh, this is what Catholicism is or anything like that. I feel like by not acknowledging the past problems with this idea, or the fact that this is a problem within Christianity itself, I feel like ignoring that fact is leaving out important information, important contextual information, and it can make it seem like he's trying to whitewash history about it, or he's trying to hide the fact that this is a problem, like going against, you know, the things that he's saying in this video.
Opposite is true as well. What good is a journey if we never actually reach a destination? If we never even have a destination in mind? If all we do is wander around forever, never reaching a place better than where we started? The journey is not all that matters. That's ridiculous. The destination is the purpose and fulfillment of a journey. While there may obviously be enjoyment along the way and lessons learned on the road, the reason we set out in the first place is not for journeying itself, but to get somewhere.
So I feel like the major issue here is that he foresees like an end to this journey. He foresees absolute knowledge, right? Like there is, to him, obviously, because he's a Catholic, he feels like there is somebody out there that has perfect absolute knowledge about everything. And so there is an end to it. Now, it's not that I disagree with that, this idea of like absolute truth being like a thing. But whether or not we can attain that, I don't think that we can. Like, how would we ever know? What would be the criteria of attaining some absolute truth? right? How do we know, like some truth that cannot change, it's immutable, right? How would you know that you've actually attained that knowledge? And obviously for religious people, they feel like they've attained that knowledge when, you know, they get to God did it. Like, and that's the only answer that I have seen from people, is that the absolute information is God did it, right? And we know that that's not true. Many times in the past have we figured out God did it. And then later on, somebody's like, you know what? I don't exactly think that it's God, but let's actually run the evidence here. And then they find out that God is not required for that shit, right? So it's like, we know that our perception of our reality changes constantly. So why would I be so narcissistic to think that I've actually reached the end of that journey? Why should I think that? Oh, because of a fucking old book told me God did it, and so I should just stop thinking about it? Like, what Casey is doing here, Friar Tuck, what he's doing here is he's making a case for you to stop thinking. It's literally thought-stopping arguments in this entire video, because he wants you to get to a conclusion, close your mind off, and then just accept it. And I mean, I feel like I could use the same argument, like, oh, just accept that God's not responsible for most, if not all, of the things that happen in reality. I say if not all because I'm just leaving it open to the possibility of, you know, things changing in the future and God being proven in some kind of way and God being responsible for something. Like, there's that little tiny sliver of a chance that that's actually true. So, I mean, I'm not closed-minded on anything, because I accept that shit can change. And more importantly, our perception and description of our reality will change at some point. You have to remain open-minded so that you can accept the new information, which is not something that I've, like, it's not something that he's disagreed with. He said earlier that he agrees with accepting new information, working that into your worldview and all this other kind of shit. But now he's making the counter argument of, oh, but yeah, there are certain things that you should just, you know, stop thinking about. You should just stop thinking about whether or not God exists, because we got an old fucking book over here that says that he exists. So just stop fucking thinking about it. I'm an angry elf tonight.
Look at our world. What I see is a society that is always on the road, but never getting anywhere. It insists that people head out on a journey, that it asks deep questions, ponder life's mysteries, keep an open mind, but never get anywhere. Those who reach their destination, who stand by an answer, who say that they have found what they are looking for and do not want to journey any longer, are scoffed at and belittled. While there is always a need for intellectual humility and we should be cautious of speaking dogmatically about every little thing, the idea of living life without any dogmas, without any moral imperatives, without any belief that is beyond change, is a life that doesn't stand for anything.
I simply disagree with that. Which maybe I need to re-listen to what he said here.
Intellectual humility, and we should be cautious of speaking dogmatically about every little thing. The idea of living life without any dogmas, without any moral imperatives, without any belief that is beyond change, is a life that doesn't stand for anything.
See, that's just fucking ignorant to say right there. Like, not being dogmatic about something means that you're living life for nothing or whatever in the fuck he said. Like, your life has no meaning at that point. What in the fuck? Like, no, my life still has meaning. I have a very fulfilling life, even if I don't have any kind of dogmas, because I don't have any. I'm not dogmatic about anything at all. Like, I'm not dogmatically simping for Joe Biden or anything like that, as I explained before. I'm not dogmatic about evolution. I mean, I accept evolution for the fact that it is because of all the evidence that's been presented, but, asterisk here, if you provided me with evidence that showed me a magical wizard used his dick to create everything, and it was compelling enough, then I would be convinced by that. I feel like everybody should remain open to their perspectives and their ideas being changed. I mean, no, and that's just talking about the bare facts of what we understand about reality, right? These hard facts that we've been able to show about reality. We're not even discussing how our minds perceive reality and what that fucking means. The fact that our minds are flawed means that we can perceive reality incorrectly, and oftentimes people do. There are medicines for a lot of that, but my point is that because of our limited ability to experience reality and our limited understanding of reality, our worldview should constantly change, and our worldview should never reach a state of dogmatism. You should never be in a position where you're dogmatic about anything. You should always be open to change. That doesn't mean that you should change as the wind blows, but it definitely means that if somebody provides you with enough evidence to convince you away from a previously held position, then you should probably be convinced away from that previously held position. I mean, I realize that this can be used like from the religious perspective of religious people being convinced away from reasonable positions. But again, this is all about how we are perceiving reality. Somebody can perceive that evidence is stronger than it actually is, but should that convince you that it is? I mean, that's the big thing. What I'm talking about is entirely subjective to each person. What each person considers to be concrete proof or good evidence for their position, that's different for nearly everybody in one way or another. And to think of life as just having no purpose or meaning or being useless or whatever like that, if you have no dogmas, like that's just emotionally and toxically abusive right there. I mean, I get it. This guy's a progressive Catholic, but the toxic emotional manipulation that's emanating from this speech here and every single fucking one of his videos is just so thick.
The dirty truth of the matter is that nobody actually lives this way. As much as people demand open minds and decry any sense of dogma, there isn't a person on earth that doesn't hold some truth beyond questioning. Are we to keep an open mind about...
Okay. Sorry, I gotta rewind a little bit. It's okay.
That is beyond change is a life that doesn't stand for anything. The dirty truth of the matter is that nobody actually lives this way. As much as people demand open minds and decry any sense of dogma, there isn't a person on earth that doesn't hold some truth beyond questioning.
What might I ask do you think I dogmatically hold to? I mean, I feel like I've laid out here my own personal and obviously subjective criteria of, you know, providing enough evidence to convince me away from a position, and I will be convinced away from a position. It doesn't matter what position it is. I mean, if you're going to sit there and tell me that the sky's actually purple and not blue, there's a possibility that that's true. Like there are people with different disabilities where they perceive colors in a different way and all this other stuff. So could I be just another person that is perceiving the universe in a different way or perceiving colors in a different way? Yeah, provide me the evidence with it for it, and I'll be convinced away from it. I mean, it's really fucking simple, and I would love to hear somebody claim or tell me what kind of dogma I hold to. He's just basically saying and generalizing of all people that everybody holds to a dogma. And obviously, I feel like Friar Tuck would paint me as dogmatically holding to God not existing. I don't know about evolution for him. I don't know if he accepts evolution or not, but for a lot of Christians out there, they would say that people that accept evolution for the fact that it is, they would be dogmatic about evolution. But being strongly convinced of a position is different from being dogmatic. And I feel like anybody that's religious can understand what dogmatic means, because in religion, you have a dogma. These are the truths that are taught by our religion, and they cannot change. And that's true. It's just that people decide, oh, well, I mean, I don't think that this is true or that's true. And so they go off and they create their own fucking denomination or their own fucking religion And they claim that that religion is dogmatically true. So yeah, most religious people are going to be dogmatic about something concerning God. That is not the same thing for people that don't believe in your magical wizard.
Are we to keep an open mind about genocide, always giving an opportunity for the other side to convince us otherwise? No. Must we stay open to the idea that the Earth may actually be flat? That NASA and every scientist in the world for the past 2,500 years has been involved in a conspiracy? Please.
See, I really hate it when they start comparing it to flat Earth. Like, when they start using these false analogies, because that's what this is. I mean, obviously, I feel like anybody that is, I guess, anti-flat Earth would say specifically that the preponderance of evidence suggests that we live on an oblate spheroid that orbits around a central star, and that there are other planets in our solar system that are also spheres or oblate spheroids, and they orbit around the sun. And so it's because of the preponderance of evidence that suggests this that we believe it. If on some weird piece of evidence that exists out there, you can show how reality is completely differently or operates completely differently, and it is structured completely differently, so that we are actually on a flat Earth. If you had that evidence, you would convince people that we don't live on an oblate spheroid. So his analogy is not only wrong, but it's a false analogy when we're talking about other shit. Because here's the thing. Flat Earth is hard science, right? Like, well, anti-flat Earth. Anti-flat Earth is hard science. It's a hard science to prove, like hard as in tangible, like something that we can definitely point to and say, this is obvious evidence that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, that kind of thing. So this is hard science that we're dealing with. When we're talking about like the philosophy of God or philosophy in general, that's soft. That's soft. Those kinds of things would be soft sciences, proposing that God exists and that he's responsible for the earth and everything like that. Like, we have hard evidence to show how the earth developed over time. Millions and billions of years, we have that evidence. So if you're going to disagree with that and just say God, well, then you're on the level of flat eartherism, right? You're on the level of creationism, which is like in the same kind of realm as flat eartherism. And but when we're talking about whether or not God exists or anything of that nature, you cannot use this comparison here. You just simply can't. And also, I would say that if you're more accepting of science as a religious person, but you still point to God, then you're still introducing magic into it. And while you're not on the level of creationism or flat eartherism or anything like that, you're still trying to insert magic into into what we can tell is most, if not completely, natural world. And so by doing that, I feel like you are sort of stooping down a little bit towards those creationists and flat earther fucks. All right. But you have to appropriately give a correct analogy here. And claiming that being, open-minded about whether or not God exists is the same thing as, being open-minded about flat earth. I feel like you're not grasping how those are different things. It's like apples and Chevrolets.
Should we treat the love we receive from our parents, spouse, siblings, and friends with skepticism, mindful of the fact that we cannot know for sure if they're being honest, and so should protect ourselves in case they're lying? I hope not. The fact of the matter is that there are certain things in life we have to either accept or not accept. Some things have a mountain of evidence to support them, making doubt more difficult, while other things must be accepted simply on intuition, but the point remains. Eventually, we have to choose one way or another. Do we believe or do we not? To journey our entire lives without...
Well, I think that making the decision as to whether or not you believe doesn't mean you have to be closed-minded about it. I mean, like, for instance, in the respect of God, I would call myself an agnostic atheist. I don't believe, so I made that decision that I don't believe in God, right? But I'm agnostic because I don't know whether or not God exists. I don't know if there's some deity out there that, could have set everything in motion and then just let it all go, right? Like, I don't know if that actually happened. I don't know if there's like a supernatural aspect to our reality. But I'm not going to sit here and proclaim to know that there isn't or there is. And so, I mean, I feel like agnostic on a lot of these positions is a good place to be in as far as whether or not you know that they exist. And so I feel like that's what keeps me open-minded to being convinced away from my position. And my guess is that he would definitely be in support of me remaining open-minded here. He just doesn't like it when, people claim that he's closed-minded about stuff. He's closed-minded about whatever fucking topic that he definitely accepts as the absolute truth just because his old-ass book says so.
Reaching a destination, to seek and to ask without ever coming to a conclusion, is a sad, uncourageous life. To remain open to everything is to attain nothing. At some point.
So let me get this straight. To be open to everything means you attain nothing? I mean, I'm still open to the possibility that God exists, but I've definitely attained a lot of shit because I've remained like open to that possibility. I mean, I've had experiences and interactions which are invaluable. I've I've been able to talk to fucking Ray Comfort, and he's misrepresented me on his fucking YouTube channel. So, I mean, like, I would classify that as an invaluable experience of being able to speak to somebody like Ray Comfort. And it definitely was a fucking experience for sure. It was something. We actually got a fruit basket from him. It primarily contained diuretics, which, if you don't know, they make you shit yourself. So I don't know if it was like a prank or something, but like most of the fruits were definitely make you shit yourself. But in any case, but yeah, so I feel like I have attained a lot of things. And me remaining open to the possibility of God does not mean that I have foregone attaining anything. This is, I would classify a non sequitur because it just makes no sense. Like the premise doesn't follow, or the conclusion doesn't follow from the premise here. Like this just makes no fucking sense to me.
We have to take the risk, even if just temporarily, and make a claim. What a waste to live your entire life.
Hold on. No, it's not to waste your entire life. But you can still make positive claims even if you're open to the possibility of being proven wrong. Like I do that a lot of times. Like with my mythicist position, I make positive claims about certain things in the position, using the position about certain pieces of evidence. And I make positive claims about those things. That doesn't mean that I'm not open to being proven wrong or that I shouldn't be open to being proven wrong. Like, I absolutely know this for 100% certain. Like, you don't have to be 100% certain about anything to say, well, I believe this thing to be true. Like, do I think that you need to be as close to absolutely certain?
Actually reach a destination. If we never even have a destination in mind. If all we do is wander around.
Sorry, started the YouTube video there. Love you, hon. It's okay. But yeah, so I mean, I feel like you should be as certain as possible for it. But that is going to change depending on what topic you're talking about. Like with whether or not Jesus exists, like I think that there's a 33% likelihood. Well, I'm using Richard Carrier's number, obviously, but like around a third or somewhere around in that neighborhood, I think that is the likelihood that Jesus did exist in history. So that leaves a monumental amount of space for Jesus to be proven to have existed in history. So I am not sold on any one particular position. So yeah, I mean, I also like how I feel like he's about to go into this whole spiel about how you've wasted your life by not being dogmatic about shit.
We have to take the risk, even if just temporarily, and make a claim. What a waste to live your entire life as an agnostic. Sure, you're never going to be...
What a waste? It's a waste of your life to be an agnostic about things. Like, to not know some things. I mean, I feel like it's far more intelligent for somebody to admit that they don't know than for you to dogmatically assert that you do. Because, I mean, you can be proven wrong. Hell, evolution can be proven wrong. You just got to provide the evidence. I mean, seriously, I don't see how he can get away with, like, being a progressive Christian or Catholic. Catholics are Christian, but, you know, whatever. I don't see how I can be a progressive Catholic here and then just have so much toxic and emotionally manipulative shit that he says in his video. Like, you could just, I mean, I don't know if maybe I'm the only one that's hearing this, but I feel like directly telling somebody that just says, well, I don't know. And telling that person you're wasting your life by not committing to an answer to whether or not God exists or insert any topic here. Obviously, I'm concerned with God existing, but insert any topic here. Like, I can't believe it. You're wasting your life. I mean, come on.
Outright wrong, but you're never going to have a chance of being right either. You're never going to find fulfillment, purpose, direction, or any sense of meaning if you remain open to everything.
I mean, I feel like those things have no bearing on whether or not you're agnostic. Like having purpose and meaning and all that kind of shit. Like, none of that has any kind of bearing on whether or not you're dogmatic about any certain positions. It's not, like, those things just, one thing does not inform the other. Like, this is totally not connected whatsoever.
What a waste to live your entire life not sure if your partner is the one. Sure, you're never...
I mean, yeah, I feel like Casey's the one, right? I feel like, you know, all of those things. But I mean, you know, there are good reasons for me to feel that way. But does that mean absolutely? I mean, I'm not absolute about anything. I mean, there could be something to happen in the future where, you know, some shit, you know, goes down and, you know, life gets fuckered. Like, I mean, just saying that, like, you don't have to be dogmatic about anything. This guy wants you to be dogmatic about something. And I guess on a Christian view of everything, they only, like, especially Catholics, they only view marrying the one time. And they really don't like polyamorous relationships or any other form of relationship out there. They don't accept those because, you know, they think one and done, except for these very few instances in the Bible where God is totally fine with, you know, multiples and even slaves being, you know, part of the equation there. So, I mean, let's not even mention any of that in the Bible. Let's just stick with one man, one woman, yeah, forever. And like, I feel like this kind of mentality has definitely seeped into a lot of people and think, oh, well, I'm miserable, therefore I can't get out of this marriage because I'm religious and I dogmatically hold to this whole idea that I'm married for life now. I mean, if that were the case, then I wouldn't be with Casey now. So I'm glad that I don't think that, but obviously, but it's still just it's really fucking crazy to hear from Friar Tuck here all of the shit that he's saying, because it's so obviously toxic and emotionally manipulative.
We're going to be heartbroken, never have to deal with a messy divorce, but you're also never going to experience the sort of love that comes only with commitment and vulnerability. We could continue.
You can commit and be vulnerable and still be like agnostic about shit.
down this line of thinking for everything. A career choice, vocational discernment,
Oh, okay. So one and done on career choice. Like there's no, like you can't choose a different thing. You got to be dogmatic about like if you choose a career as an astronaut as like a 14-year-old, you're supposed to just continue with that your entire life, choosing only that one career move. Like, is that what you're saying? Oh, are you supposed to commit to like whatever fucking car you buy? Like, oh, nope, I definitely picked that Grand Prix, that Pontiac Grand Prix, and I'm going to stick with that until it fucking dies. Like, is that it? Like, I mean, well, the thing that he's saying here is just so fucking ridiculous. I mean, to suggest that people have to stick with one career and they can't just like change shit up if they want to. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times college students have changed their career paths while they're currently fucking in college. I mean, if I had done that, I would be a fucking doctor right now, and I would probably be miserable, or I would have racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in school debt, which I luckily only racked up tens of thousands of dollars in school debt. But my point is that being dogmatic about this kind of shit is just ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
political positions, which movie to watch on Netflix. With every decision in life, the end goal must always be to actually make a decision. It begins with an open mind. It starts with seeking, questioning, removing biases, doing everything you can to come to the truth. But at some point, you must come to the realization that you will never have enough information, that you will never exhaust everything that can be learned.
Right. And that's why I remain open-minded. Like, this seems so bass-backwards to me. Like, it really does. Like, he's being like, you have to realize that you can't know everything, and so you just got to commit to one answer forever. Like, does that not seem stupid? Like, I don't use the stupid word lightly here, but that literally seems stupid here. You don't know everything, so just go on ahead and commit to this one answer, even though you don't know. Like, wouldn't you want to remain open if you don't know? Like, I agree with him. There's no way that we can attain absolute knowledge. That's why I'm not going to be like, I hard commit forever to this. Like, that's the reason why I don't do that. But he's telling me to do the opposite, because it's opposite day for some fucking reason in his head, of directly committing to something, even though I am not confident in it. Like, it's not that I'm not confident in evolution. I'm confident in the evidence for it, but that confidence doesn't supersede the possibility of shit being proved different in the future. And in fact, the way that we currently understand how shit works now will most definitely change in the future at some point.
But must make a decision anyway. Now, I'm not suggesting that we must make a dogmatic decision about everything, or that
Oh, okay. Well, we must not make a dogmatic decision about everything. Please, Friar Tuck, what should we be dogmatic about? Can you please give us some kind of criteria for determining what our dogmatism should cover? What should be the base of all dogmatism? Can you please tell me that, Friar Tuck? Or do you have some more beer to go and mix up? I think they do beer at his particular seminary. Where do friars live? Do they live in castles still? Like, I don't know.
we should never change our minds once we've decided something. There is a sense in which an open mind is still a very good thing. What I'm suggesting is simply that an open mind is a means to an end, not the end itself. It is the thing that gets us where we're going, not a quality of a good person. The irony of being open to
does any of this make sense to anybody? Like, the way that he's talking about having an open mind, like, is it a means to an end? I mean, unless you think that there's an absolute end to knowledge, and that we have the possibility of attaining that knowledge, then I guess it is a means to an end. But, like, again, I go back to citing what the criteria is for absolute knowledge or absolute truth. Like, how would you know that you've attained this absolute truth? How would you know that? Because I feel like you would have to know that criteria in order to know whether or not you've attained absolute knowledge. But he is like, you know what? We'll just never know. So you might as well just pull the ripcord right now and just believe in some bullshit that even if you don't actually believe in it. And I feel like all this is leading up to, so accept Jesus Christ and believe in God. Otherwise, burn in hell, motherfucker.
Everything of never settling on anything in particular is that you'll never actually know when you found the right or wrong answer.
I mean, I adhere to wrong answers all the time, and then I change my mind once it's been proven that I'm wrong about it. Like, none of this is like all that bad that he's talking about here. Like, he says all of this shit as if like maintaining that you could be wrong about anything is somehow bad or negative. Like, I don't say, like, I feel like that just keeps your worldview constantly updating with new information. Like, it's a lot like, imagine this. Okay, just putting it in my kind of area of expertise here, being the technology world, engineering. This is the entire argument that he's making here would be like if somebody was like, you know, it's pointless to have a computer if you're always updating it. Like, I don't even know why you would even want to have a computer if you're just going to update the hardware and the firmware and all this. I mean, you really just need to pull the pin and just commit to one computer, one version of the operating system, and you need to keep that forever. And you just got to maintain that you will never try a different like video card, try a different operating system or anything like that ever again. You just, and don't you push those hot fixes, okay? Whenever Microsoft says that you need to update your system, you tell them to fuck the right off, and you are not going to update your system and prevent people from hacking in because you don't believe that people hack into computers. That's just not possible. You've got an old ass book that says it's impossible. Like, I feel like he's trying to convince people not to update their systems and that it's actually a bad thing if you continuously update your system with the most recent patches. And I feel like putting it in this context should make every person that works in IT security or IT at all cringe at the idea of this.
We must be willing to take risks, to put ourselves out there, to stand for something rather than be open to everything. Maybe we'll come to realize that we were wrong.
Again, he keeps saying these things like you can hold positions, right? You can have positions on things. You can be convinced of things, but still be able to have your mind changed about it. These are two separate things. They are not like linked together to where you have, it's not like you've got to get rid of one to attain the other. They can both exist together. Friar fucking Tuck.
But at least we'll have found something, and we'll be closer to our ultimate destination than when we started.
Oh, what's that ultimate destination? Fucking God up in heaven? Oh, well, I guess that would be God fucking our mouths, right?
Commit to something. You may never know the right or wrong answer beyond a shadow of a doubt. But what sort of life is it if you never even try?
I mean, saying that being agnostic is like, or being agnostic about anything or everything, I guess, means that your life has meaning. He keeps repeating this same thing the entire time, and it's not true. I mean, you can be completely agnostic about every fucking thing. You can still have meaning in your life. You can still take on positions and hold them and defend them and believe that those positions are true while still at the same time not knowing absolutely whether or not they are true. Now, I will say that I am Gnostic about the biblical God. So maybe Friar Tuck was right in this situation. Maybe I am a bit dogmatic about whether or not the God of the Bible exists, right? Maybe that's what I'm being dogmatic about. I guess that definitely could be it. I don't know. I'm still open in the future to being proven that Yahweh exists, so I'm not completely ruling him out. So I guess that kind of breaks with the dogmatism a little bit, but I would say that I'm Gnostic about whether or not his God exists. Yahweh, the God of the Bible, the Old Testament, and all this other shit. Like, I feel like their definition of God, their understanding of God, violates a number of logical things that are laid out in the Bible. And because of this, that makes God logically inconsistent, which means that he can't exist in reality. Now, if you can show how logically inconsistent things can exist in reality, then I would probably be open to the idea of Yahweh existing. But as Catholics and Protestants understand God, the various ways that they understand God, and what's actually written in the Bible, what's literally written in the Bible, just like things about history, things that were done and everything like that, which don't necessarily track to history or whatever. But those things, like all of that, definitely leads me to the conclusion that this God's logically inconsistent with what has been written about him, and verify, like, quote unquote, apologists verifiably, describing God or whatever. Like, all of that is logically inconsistent with their concept of Yahweh. Now, could their concept of God be the true one? Sure. Is that God the same as the one that's characterized in the Bible? Definitely fucking not. So it's kind of it's a weird situation there. So I don't know. I don't know how you would classify that. Would you classify me as dogmatic about it, or would you classify me as not being dogmatic because I'm still open to the possibility of God existing, even their God existing, the biblical God, or whatever God they've created? Anyways, that's going to be it for the review tonight. All in all, Friar Tuck just showed how, even though he's apparently a progressive Catholic, he's still very toxic and emotionally manipulative. But that could just be that the Catholic religion, like the Christian religion in general, is those things. Like, Christianity is toxic. Christianity is emotionally abusive. Christianity is manipulative. All of those things. Like, Christianity is those things, and that's just coming out in the way that Friar Tuck is framing his argument here. And ultimately, his argument is, well, there's some things you just need to not worry about and just accept. You got to stop thinking about it. You got to stop thinking. You just got to take hold of the world by the balls, and you just got to admit that, some things and stake a claim. But I think that you can still attain happiness. You can still be a fulfilled individual, even if you don't make any kind of positive claims whatsoever. Him claiming that being agnostic about shit means that your life is worthless? Fuck off, Friar fucking Tuck. Anyways, he pisses me off. Annoying Newsletter said, "Don't stop believing." Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, okay, sorry. That was embarrassing. Anyways, let's pretend that didn't happen. If you will, please go down below. Let me know what you thought about tonight's video review. Do you think that Friar Tuck needs to go back to the drawing board on this, or do you think that he's correct? Let me know down below in the comments section. I would really love to read all of your thoughts on Friar Tuck's video. While you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we got the Skeptic Mafia. Skeptic Mafia, if you don't know, part of the Skeptic Mafia benefits is that you get to comment on the video that you chose. If you forgot at the very beginning of this, the Skeptic Mafia, they get to choose what video we watch on Friday nights. And sorry, I'm just getting it zoomed in and everything over here. They get to choose the video that we review on Friday nights, and then they get to leave comments about the video so that their voices are heard, commenting about what we watched tonight. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. There we go. Nice and pretty. Polly Pockets says, but genocide exists, and we know the harm it causes. There's evidence for around Earth, or whatever the proper words are. Sorry, Neil deGrasse Tyson. There isn't evidence for your God. Anyway, join the Skeptic Mafia so that you can say mafioso for life. I don't know what our little hand signal would be. Maybe like an M. No, that's probably like a sign that'll get me killed. I'm not going to do that. Y'all don't do that. The M is not it. I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out. It's got to be unique so you don't get killed. Anyways, I don't want to accidentally throw some kind of sign that means fuck off to hell. Actually, I do that every day. It's fuck off. Anyway, okay, so Trickster. Trickster's next. I did not watch the video as I don't think I can take 6.20 minutes of Friar Nut telling me about why I shouldn't ask questions. I'm pretty sure that at the end of a bad argument of a video, it will come down to just, you gotta believe. And that seems, yeah, I mean, he pretty much came down to, at some point, if you want your life to have meaning, you just gotta believe in something. I'm not going to tell you that it's God, but I think that it probably should be God. I probably wouldn't have liked Friar Tuck's video, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't like John's video. And while you're at it, why don't you hit that subscribe button? And if you're really feeling it, go down there and hit that join button. Hey, John, tell the people what they get with their membership. Well, if you become a member, you can get all the emojis that people may or may not have been putting in the chat. You can put those in there. You can use those emojis in the comment section too. Get a nice little icon by your name. You also get access to the podcast. There's a monthly hangout that you can also join if you join the Skeptic Mafia. And then you get to pick videos on Wednesdays. You get to comment on the videos on Fridays. There's a lot of perks if you definitely like review content like this. There's a lot of perks in here that you can use to get more out of this experience if you want to. Just remember that John loves it when you hit his buttons. Oh yeah, Casey is always right and should always be on the mic. Love y'all. Peace. Thank you, Trickster. Oh, Perfectly Ripe Tomato says, okay, Mr. Jedi Knight, I'm just going to say I didn't listen to this particular Jedi because honestly, I'm watching The Acolyte right now and don't want to pause. Fuck, I forgot that's out. But I'll be here when you dismantle his flawed arguments, as they're mostly always flawed. Anyway, here's my ASCII sacrifice for tonight, and I just realized I never did anything concerning Skibbity Toilet, so here you go. Skibbity Toilet! Head man. Skibbity Toilet for your amusement. And if you don't want to end up with your head coming out of the toilet and want to join the camera army today, go ahead and give that like button a huge lick, and lick the subscribe button, the bell. Fuck, just give your entire phone a gigantic lick to make you sure you hit all the buttons. And remember, Casey is always right. Casey is God. Well, so don't lick your phones. Please don't lick your phones. Clean your phones. And then don't lick them, but clean your phones, okay? Just do it. I know you need to clean your phone. Just clean it. Anyways, remember to eat your goddamn fruits and veggies. Tomatoes are the best, and drink some water, you heathens. Tomato out. I drink my water. I got to drink this Protein 2.0 stuff that gives me my protein, as well as hydration, and it's really great. It's also really great for, like, if you work out with weights. It really helps with protein intake on that too. And then finally we got Mark Fernkoff 5133. Been able to actually hang out with Mark on our member chats, as well as plenty of the other people, like Tomato is usually there. I don't think I've seen Polly Pockets. I believe Trickster hasn't been around in a while, but I appreciate Trickster still being part of the Skeptic Mafia. But Mark Fernkoff 5133 says, got this preview posted a little later than usual this week, GE. I was getting worried. I know, I've been rather busy. I'm working on an audiobook for Dr. Richard Carrier. We actually did a recording, it's been about a year now, of KC reading Jesus from Outer Space. So I've been editing that up. And I mean, it's a short book, but I also have to edit. Like, it's just been a big trouble editing. But in any case, Mark continues with, I'm normally still out door dashing while typing my Skeptic Mafia comment. I door dash between 11 and 8, 7 days a week now. But I was actually pulling into my driveway when this posted today because knocking off work early for a new episode of Doctor Who. I'm still getting caught up on Doctor Who too. Only minutes away as I type this. Okay, the video, this freaking guy again. Does he think his monk outfit makes him seem more credible? It doesn't. Well, I don't know about that, but he's definitely a friar, so I feel like he's been mandated to wear that. But he's a very social media conscious friar that's like everywhere. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know if he thinks it gives him some kind of authority, but I could see it possibly doing that, but I don't know. I should just be dogmatic about it and claim it. He is. He thinks it gives him authority. That fuck. It's beyond ridiculous, and I wear some beyond ridiculous things myself. I once went to Burning Man with my buddies dressed as the Spanish Inquisition because nobody would expect that. The Spanish Inquisition. Even 5-year-old Henry, who also loves ridiculous outfits, thought this look was bad. Although Henry absolutely loved the moon picture behind him. That was his primary thoughts on this video. The moon picture behind him gets an empathetic thumbs up from 5-year-old Henry. Open mind good, open mind bad. He can't seem to make up his mind on whether or not an open mind is a good thing or a bad thing. He seems to think it's both. Theists always accuse atheists of being closed-minded, which ironic as fuck. I get that from my mom all the time, being quick to close-minded. I'm open-minded as can be. I used to be a Catholic. I never believed the Noah's Ark bullshit, but I was Catholic as a kid, like George Carlin said. Until I reached the age of reason, I asked my mom if she was given hard evidence that God doesn't exist. Impossible, I know, but hypothetically. She said she would still believe despite evidence to the contrary. Yet she calls me closed-minded. She says she wishes I would believe in God. I reply, show me good evidence that from the Bible. Show me good evidence that God exists, and of course I would believe in him. I wouldn't love or worship that immoral monster from the Bible, but I would believe he existed were there actual good evidence for it. He says we don't believe in open mind about genocide being evil, but Christians say God ordered genocide is not evil. Like, this guy is unbelievable. Okay, got to go. Time for Doctor Who. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Hope Doctor Who turned out well for you. And I know we're playing Destiny tonight, but I do want to get caught up on Doctor Who, The Acolyte that I know just released. I can't wait to watch that. I've loved all of these series that Disney's been putting out in the Star Wars universe, especially The Mandalorian. That's been my favorite so far. And of course, Ahsoka. I love that show as well. So can't wait to get caught up on all of that. But let's head back over here. That's going to be our show for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know I did. Of course I did. I wouldn't be doing this unless I enjoyed it. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great night, awesome weekend, and all that kind of good shit. Don't forget to comment down below, smash that like button, don't lick your phones, clean them instead, and I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.